Cromnibus Bill, a horrible spending bill, which just passed the House and the Senate and will be signed into law by our corporatist President Barack Obama, is an absolutely terrible bill. The Cromnibus has a bunch of sneaky provisions and loopholes that our representatives and senators sneaked into there, and at the end of the day, the rich were just too powerful, and it will be signed into law. Now, why am I talking about this like it's World War III? Well, as I stated, our legislators sneaked in horrible provisions into this spending bill, and overall it lowers funding for a bunch of government programs and raises funding only for the crap that the billionaires of this country really even care about. So let me describe in more detail. The Cromnibus Bill gives out $521 billion in military spending and an additional $64 billion for the fight against ISIS. And guys, why that's such a load of crap is because that's over half of the entire budget. Already over half of your tax dollars are going to blow up people in the Middle East. Second, the IRS is going to take $345 million in budget cuts, and the EPA's budget goes down $60 million. We also give up $5 billion to fight Ebola, and the trucking industry is going to have some serious regulatory setbacks because companies are now forced to give a lot less hours of sleep. And you know why that happens, because the trucking companies, I'm sure, lobbied the crap for that provision, and if the truckers have to sleep a lot less hours, they can have more time to drive the goods to where they need to go, and they make more money. Now, third, here is a shot at homeless and poor people. Earlier this year, the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness said it would take a $2.4 billion to fund local anti-homelessness efforts through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The Cromnibus provides $300 million less than that for the permanent support of housing programs for the homeless that the HUD relies upon to end chronic homelessness, per thinkprogress.org. There you go, Congress. Let's have more homeless people. And also, the Section 8 vouchers, which basically gives people in low-income housing if they need it, it's going to take $17.5 billion, which is more than $500 million below what the White House wanted. And while the low-income housing program overall wasn't cut significantly, according to Linda Couch of the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, costs increase, tenant incomes are stagnating, and the bills the housing authority has to pay are increasing. So now the housing authority can't afford to put poor people into housing and off the street. However, these next few things are what is truly getting liberals' panties in a complete bunch. It's pissing us off. Now, the Great Recession, which you all can learn a little bit more about in our video on the financial system, what happened after that was basically they set up love tap regulations on the banks, and they didn't really do a lot to fix the problem. However, one of the provisions that actually helped, it was very few, was this swap push-out. Now, during the time leading up to the recession, banks were able to gamble ridiculous amounts of money on certain aspects of success inside the market. So those toxic mortgages we talked about, yeah, they bet ridiculous amounts of money on them, saying that they would make a bunch of money. Obviously, the mortgages failed miserably, and therefore so did the bets or derivatives. Then they were able to trade the bets to other banks, and then the people who received the derivatives couldn't even see the risk involved. I mean, it was a huge mess. Now, the banks were able to trade these bets on markets backed by taxpayer money. And when those derivatives failed, taxpayers were on the hook for all of that money lost. Basically, this regulation prohibited banks from trading bets on the taxpayer-backed exchanges. This meant if they screwed up, we weren't on the hook for it. Yeah, they got rid of that. Of course, we all know why, because leading up to the Cromnibus passing, Wall Street lobbied the crap out of these paid politicians to put in that provision, which is getting rid of this provision. And like everything else today, the companies got what they wanted. And as we described above, by putting out homeless people and poor people, the American people got screwed. Also, quote, the Cromnibus Bill includes a provision to create 3 separate funds within the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee. Each fund would be allowed to accept $97,200 just for one donor per year. And if this change becomes law, and it did, this would mean that a single donor could give up $324,000 per year, or $648,000 per the 2-year election cycle. Guys, this change would effectively obliterate campaign finance limits to the parties, while eviscerating the limits placed by the 2002 McCain-Feingold campaign finance reform law on how much a political candidate can seek from a donor. The current maximum a donor can give to a national party committee is $32,400, a significant increase. This is per the Huffington Post. And as you guys can imagine, of course, the Republicans and even the Democrats wanted to be able to receive more money from the rich and corporations. It doesn't matter what party you're on, because just about everybody nowadays is bought off. All about that money. This was, as you can see, a terrible, terrible bill. Now, this was with the current Congress, a Democratic Senate, now Republican House, and a Democratic White House. Imagine the deals that will come out of a Republican Congress altogether. And then a corporatist president who is barely even a moderator, Barack Obama. This is what it has come to, and it's pretty much a horrible excuse for a democracy. The interests of the people are no longer being represented, but what is are the interests of the rich. Only the rich want most of the budget going to the military, so the defense contractor buddies can get more money. Only the rich want to put the homeless and the poor on the street, because how does that affect them? Only the rich want most government programs to receive massive cuts. Only the rich want Wall Street to run amok over the economy yet again. And only the rich want their money to directly affect our congressmen and the decisions that they make. However, guys, here is a shimmer of light. The liberal half of the Democrats, people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, they stood up to this bill and nearly made them turn it down. This level of pushback to crap like this has never been as large as now. The liberal movement, guys, it's starting to go on the rise. We talk about the minimum wage, the minimum wage strikes going on across the country, and then you have the police brutality protests across the nation, and with most of the Democrats and some Republicans saying no mas to this stupid bill, even though they came up short, it shows there still is hope. So guys, I hope that you guys can take away from this video, this message that this episode with the Cromnibus was a sign of the rich tightening their grip on our democracy. Because no, the people are starting to fight back. Thank you all for listening to Progressive Talk Daily. Have a fantastic day.